So after 5 weeks of grinding, at least for one of these players, it's actually been 2 months for one of the players that came up through silver. We are here in a best of 5 decider in Titans League Gold to close out gold for these 2 players. In the blue, we have Dragonstar, who ended up with 9 wins in a group that many people think was the most competitive group. It was a ridiculous group there. He was 2nd place in that group, and he is then up against 3rd place Kasva, who got 7 wins in his group in Group D. And Kasva, he needed a 3-0 in his final round to get here to the playoffs in 3rd place, and he did it. And so I was just saying that Kasva, at the very least, he's clutch. When it's serious, when it's big moments, it might not always be pretty for Kasva, and I expect some messy games today, but he's consistent, he's hard to kill off, and he can deliver in the big moments. I do feel as though Dragonstar has been one of the best strategists thus far in TTL, though. I really think, like, there's never a game where I looked at his strat and said, wow, that doesn't make any sense to me. And Kasva, even in silver, remember, he had to play through silver. I don't know how many of you guys watching now even followed that, but it was a 4-week silver bracket. And even then, I was like, ooh, the strategy's shaky. The strategy's shaky. But he made it to gold. Now he's made it to 3rd place. So, map to start off our series is El Dorado. Both players are going to go for a dock. The main difference here is Kasva's gone for the build that some players have been going for, where you actually use the straggler trees for your wood and then make an early dock. I think Dravidians can get away with this too, because they don't need that extra house, because the dock gives them some pop space too. Someone's asking me to switch sides on the scoreboard. Ooh, I don't know the hotkey for that. If someone could tell me the Capture Rage hotkey, I will do that. Normally, Capture Rage does it by default, so it's a little confusing. There's 2 tiles of gold and 2 tiles of stone available at each player's base, which is not a lot. And you can see the golden stone over here then for Kasva. I don't know if my mods are out as well, but it seems like the bots have come to play. So, guys, if anyone on the internet ever says earn and then just links something, just don't click it. All right, doesn't matter where you are. It's probably some type of a scam. All right, so Alt S does it. Alt S, boom, we switch the sides. Good. People aren't going to get scammed, I hope. My community's smart. They're better than that. They're good. And both these civs are very similar to each other. Strong infantry, strong on water. And, you know, towards the middle area, that's where all that stone and gold is going to lie. So, stone and gold in the middle is visible for both players. This is not the type of map that I would really expect Dragonstar to have wanted to start off the series against Kasva, because Kasva's really aggressive, and Kasva can be really all in. And I think Kasva, he's just not going to have as much balance, and this is not a map that you really incorporate a ton of balance on typically. So it's an interesting one. In order for this to be game number 1, players had to go through a series of bans. So clearly Dragonstar and Kasva both preferred to ban out some other things. Anyways, down goes the board for Dragonstar. He was a bit later to the dock, but at the end of the day, seems like the numbers are similar right now. I think I would prefer the Japanese, because the Japanese have slightly better monks. And the Japanese also have the cheaper lumber camps, cheaper mills, cheaper mining camps, as well as just the ability to make knights, which I think could be really useful here. And Kasva adding the 3rd fishing ship, now adding the 4th fishing ship. Eric, you better be careful, man. What if, like, Autobot bans you? You're linking my website as a joke, but what if Autobot's like, all right, we're working now? I think it'll be fine. But you see the difference here. Just 2 fishing ships for Dragonstar. Excuse me. And he's already added that barracks, and he'll be adding militia. Sorry. First cast of the day. I got to get used to talking here. Kasva not really scouting. Kasva just pushing in all the food he can underneath his TC. So let's see what happens here with these militia. Now, those militia, if they wander through the middle, there's a pretty big radius there. And then Kasva could see it. So I remember a game where someone did that, and then the opponent just saw it right away. You almost have to avoid that middle area. Actually, Dragonstar only going 2 militia, didn't transfer to gold at all. Which I'm going to assume was intentional, actually. And 5 fishing ships for Kasbah. His food eco is going to be ridiculous, actually. Not to mention he gets the plus 200 wood when he hits the next stage, being the Dravidians. So he'll have gold, he'll have wood. He should be in a pretty clean spot to get things going here. And there's Dragonstar moving out across the middle. Now, he can see it, obviously, but Kasva does not see this. But the 2 militia, you know, they won't be upgraded to man-at-arms. I don't know how much they're really going to contribute unless the scout is there, too. And here goes Kasva. And Kasva's going to find some turkeys underneath the TC. Kasva's going to steal 500 food. We'll see if he can get away with it. That's a big moment in this game. We've seen this happen to players before. Now, if Dragonstar steals it back, Kasva will just kill them. But Kasva's looking at that, and Kasva wasn't expecting the 2 militia. So we've got some activity with the scouts. The good news for Kasva is he could probably just let this Vil die. He still killed the turkeys. He killed most of these turkeys. Almost lost his scout. You could tell Kasva wasn't really looking. But to just lose 1 Vil there and have that Vil have to die all the way over here gives him time to react here. So payoff from Dragonstar with the aggression. And then obviously, you know, Kasva with heads up play there just killed, you know, 400 food from Dragonstar. We do have Fire Galley on the way from both. I'm noticing some idle time for Kasva stacking up because of this pressure. And Kasva did just lose his scout as well. So now Dragonstar fully walled. Dragonstar adding an archer range. Kasva doing the same. There's no dock villager anymore. Oh, there is a dock villager, actually. And Dragonstar's looking for it. He's like, is there a second dock? So he went there originally, didn't see the villager there anymore. Now he sees the Vil. And this would be huge. Because Dragonstar, you know, he's only on 1 dock at the moment, I believe. I mean, this is obviously just be another villager killed. Dock is going to go up, but that villager's going to go down. And I think the militia and the scout have paid off pretty significantly thus far for Dragonstar. Just to double check. So he's actually gone for mills on the shorefish for food. That's interesting. Anyways, Spearman, Archer on the way. Kasva's, of course, left in the dark here. This is the type of balance I expect from Kasva. Just like crazy. It will probably see markets a lot more from him. We won't see as much like natural food eco from him. Just throughout the whole series. I just really think he's going to have to try and hit his windows. And Dragonstar, just being patient, running around with the scout, comes forward with his archer. Got to be careful here. There's a lot going on here, but there's a whole lot more red than there is blue. And I guess a skirmisher did get picked off there by Dragonstar. But now he loses his scout. So I don't think he would have liked that. And if this turns into an archer war, Dravidian skirmishers do fire faster. But if you make too many skirms, then the opponent can make knights. And I think that's really where the big differentiator between the civilizations is. Japanese making knights could end the game. Okay, wheelbarrow. You can't be getting wheelbarrow here, dude. There's no farms. He got housed. He got housed bad, and players want to research something in their TC if they're pop capped. But wheelbarrow has a big effect on farmers. There's not going to be any farmers anytime soon for Kasva. Honestly, one of those situations where you might even need to bite the bullet and simply just not even get wheelbarrow there. Because, like, you know, you want to get back to more villagers soon. This has been crisp from Dragonstar. This has been like, I mean, I don't want to say perfect because the poor turkeys died, and there might be some turkeys watching, and they might be like, yo, what gives? But seriously, this has been as crisp as you like. He's got the proper amount on golden stone to build up towards a couple knights towards the middle. And then a castle could go up in that middle stone and gold area. Now, the interesting aspect is Kasva's producing archers right now. He's producing skirms right now. He's producing fire galleys. He's producing a lot more. And he's going to have 3 fires make it over here. And Dragonstar only has 2 fires at home, and he's not really in a position to produce. So he's clicked up quickly, but he's really at the limit in terms of resources. So there is a risk that comes with this. It took Kasva some time to get over here, but let's see if Dragonstar is able to keep his fish alive. Those fishing ships are really important to him. And yes, he's Japanese, and yes, his fishing ships are strong. But that still might not be everything. I think Dragonstar needs to bring his other ship in right now. He's trying to repair, maybe getting a little bit worried. And he, I think, forgot about that other fire. Demo is coming out, though. And Kasva looping over here just to this wood line right now. He was unable to find that army on the hill. Again, another ship goes down there for Dragonstar. And that, the demo's not going to be able to save these fishing ships alone. Ideally, Dragonstar will be able to hit 2 ships with that, but no, he just hits 1. So he needs more fires. He's under pressure over here as well. He's in the Castle Age. He can make knights. He's going to take this fight. He had added a scout here, which I think is nice. He's got to be careful with that scout because there's spearmen. Really nice fight there for Dragonstar, who now is hoping to stabilize on water. He hasn't lost any fishing ships yet. He's got fire galleys on the way to save them. And then if he could just escort his villagers forward through that to that middle area, he could have the time to drop a castle. It's a 10 to 5 KD for Dragonstar. He will ultimately keep most of his fishing ships alive. All of his fishing ships alive. And all that army that Kasva created is starting to fall off now. And Dragonstar's, he's not just going to build a castle in the middle, but he's going to build a castle far enough forward where Kasva will not... Well, I'd prefer it be here, honestly. I was going to say Kasva won't be able to take gold. I mean, in theory, Kasva could actually make it over here. There's actually still a lot of space. And Kasva's going to know about this. But, you can't do anything about it. Here are a couple of, desperation archers and skirms run underneath the TC. Here he does have more fires. This is actually still a really important moment, and Dragonstar's realized it. But I still think Dragonstar is going to be happy with this position. And Dragonstar looking like he wants India to have a top player represent. I mean, Dragonstar's been this good for a long time. I just think that formats which really prioritize training and formats where a player who, is maybe in that 24 to 40 conversation and ranking, but those players don't have to, run into a top 10 talent in the second or third round. I think this is a format where players like Dragonstar shine. It's been a mixed map pool and he's looked really good. And let's see if there's a way back for Kasva here. I mean, unfortunately, guys, El Dorado has probably been the worst map in terms of comeback potential in TTL. It just is not designed really around there being many comebacks. It's a snowball map. And Dragonstar knew that his initial play did damage. And then, then it was all about getting to Castle Age. And Kasva still has 10 fishing ships working. It does have stone. He does have cheaper barracks upgrades. He's going for crossbowmen. But if you look at Kasva's point of view, you can see elite skirms in the middle. And, I mean, there can be siege as well. This is a really complicated position. A bigger question for me was is Kasva going to have the openings? Is he going to have the strats? And we saw it play out perfectly. Basically the predictions came true. Because, he didn't have the scouting down, but he was aggressive, made it messy, killed a bunch of turkeys. Took losses at home, obviously. The follow-up then got wild. Had the right idea, did pressure on water, but still fishing ships working for Dragonstar is a really big deal. I love the redock, too. And he's actually doing the right thing here. He says, I've got enough on land. I'm going to go water now. And we'll see a few more things on water from him. And Mangonel is going to pop out here, trying to push forward and defend from this. But good spearman defense there from Kasva. There does not need to be that much urgency for Dragonstar. The game's close in terms of eco. Close and pop, 68 to 68. Dragonstar just needs to ensure that the food and the wood eco is at least on par with what Kasva has right now. And Kasva looping 2 fires, maybe even 3 to the right side. It will meet and likely kill Dragonstar's 1. But Dragonstar's fishing ships are all over here, and Dragonstar looping a fire this way could also meet and find some fishing ships from Casbah. What's the series score? Yeah, sorry, I have to add the score. It's 0-0. If you just got here, you didn't miss much. Casbah has to be creative now. It's now best of 5. It's not play all 3. It's not play all 5. It's just a straight up best of 5. To see who goes in the platinum. Dragonstar was there before. He was there in, I think, the first season. Can someone tell me how many wins he had in that first season? I recall him playing really well. All the groups are just insane, though. And Kasva, oh, man, he's got to keep his Mangonel alive here. That was actually amazing because, obviously, losing the villager, it hurt, but it could have potentially lost the game if he lost his siege position over here. Crossbowman finding an area, but Dragonstar responds almost immediately. And Dragonstar also still has Navy here. And Dragonstar was able to find a couple fishing ship kills on this backside. If he could just shift this fire ship. Right now, he's trying to kill the Mangonel, and he gets the job done. But if he's able to shift this fire ship over there, it'd be great. Also, the skirms of the night find the crossbows here. And it feels like things have not gotten better for Kasva. Kasva's done no counter damage on water. He's taken damage on water. And would continue to take damage on water if Dragonstar noticed that. Military count is much higher for Dragonstar, and Dragonstar's just been real patient with this. You could tell I think on another map, you maybe pressure that TC. But he's just thinking, why? I just need to pressure here. Kasva doesn't like to call quits, man. Kasva's going to be a fighter today. And I did predict that Kasva would get a win. I think Kasva's too good. I don't want to say he's too good to get 3-0'd, but I think he's too much of a fighter and he can be too aggressive. I think he can get a win, but it's getting that 3-win mark against Dragonstar. If Dragonstar's performing like this, that I think will be really difficult. All right, so in the first season, Dragonstar had 3 wins in Platinum. Got it. So, yeah, obviously, I think he was quite easily relegated there. And just as, players who get promoted from silver to gold throughout this entire season, with Casbah being the exception. Just like we're always saying they're favored to get relegated, it will be the same for any gold players that go up to platinum next season. It's just kind of how the food chain works. A couple more fishing ship kills were found. Dragonstar killed 13 eco in this game now. And I think Dragonstar knows this game is over. Do not stack 3 mangonels like this, guys. Do not do this. That is a great way to lose 3 siege weapons to 1 enemy shot. Also, I don't think you need a forward castle here either. You don't need it. But I think he feels like there's no way he can lose right now. So he's going to do it. He's going to send a message here. And, well, in the end, it's a 1-for-1 trade. And that castle's probably going to go up. Kasva making a mad dash. He sees this area. He's thinking maybe he can get his own castle down there. But it's not going to happen here, guys. And I wonder how Kasva feels after that game. Having seen enough El Dorado games, to me it was clear based on the follow-ups after those openings, right, that Dragonstar had really practiced this a lot. It was a beautiful eco balance there. I mean, he clicked up to Castle Age so quickly. He didn't have to use the market to do so. He didn't have any farms. And 1720 Castle Age time versus 2035. But it wasn't just the 1720 Castle Age time. He then had enough army to push Castle all the way back. He defended on water. He lost 1 eco in this game. He defended on water nicely. And then he had the castle immediately. Like, all of that at 18 minutes is pretty impressive. And that was after losing some of the turkeys underneath his TC. So, Dragonstar gets the first win. Kasva, though, does have 2 home maps. And we'll obviously go to one of those next. Quick glance at the res collected. Obviously, for Dragonstar, he had a lot more gold and stone collected. Didn't actually have as much food in the end. But he reached a point where Kasva, he was playing catch-up on food to get to Castle Age. So he added a bunch of farms. And then it's like, well, what does all this food really do for you when you've kind of lost control of everything else? And here we are, game 2. And with Kasva being the underdog here, it does feel like this is a must-bounce-back game for him. Sorry, just forgot I wanted to add this fancy little logo. There we go. Yeah, it feels like going down 2-0 would be tough. I think that's the same for anyone in these best-of-5 deciders. You have to be, to go down 2 games and then win 3 straight at this level, very difficult. So Kasva picked the Aztecs, civilization that he played with against Nili, I believe, and might have played, I think he also played Aztecs against FedEx. Yeah, so he felt very comfortable playing Aztecs in his group stage. I think he won both times with Aztecs, so he doesn't want to change the, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, as they say. He doesn't want to change his civilization up much. What's interesting, though, is that Dragonstar gets Lithuanians. And we had seen a lot of drafts where we would have Lithuanians and Aztecs both on the ban list if Graveyards was in the map pool. Now there's 5 maps. So more civilizations need to be picked, and it's still the same 2 bans per player. So I think there's going to be a few more stronger civilizations available. And also, if these best of fives are going to 5 games, obviously we will just get to see more maps and get to see more civilizations in general, which is quite nice. So, Kasva, he hasn't gone out for the early lane, something I recall him doing in the past with his eagle. And just scouting his map, hoping to find his resources right now. But personally, I think, it all comes down to how aggressive Dragonstar is. I remember a game from Dragonstar where he was Magyars, and he just had so much army and feudal age. He went scouts and had like 8 to 10 scouts. Now, granted, that was up against the Malay, so maybe a little bit different matchup-wise, but I have always felt like scout civilizations are superior on this map due to players being a bit further away and due to how open this map is. And I think the game plan for Dragonstar obviously gets some good engagements in feudal. And then ideally, snag a couple relics. And then your knights are really strong. Aztecs get 33% more gold per relic. And then the Lithuanians get the +1 attack on their knights per relic. It does feel like the relics are a little bit closer to Casbah too. This one's not far away. This one's very close. This one's very close. But actually, now that I look at it, I think Dragonstar is not going to have too much to complain about with the relic being beyond his wood line and then the relic over here. That's just how the map works. That is graveyards. Besides it being very open and there being little golds and stones spread out throughout the map. So I think for a Scout Rush to really have some teeth to it, you have to have the timing right. And Lithuanians should be able to pull off 18 or 19 population scouts pretty easily. Kasva, knowing the threat of those scouts, is going to wall. And he's walling up right now. He's going to pull this boar back to his TC. Deer is not cooperating, so he's just got to shoot it to wake it up. It just kind of resets it. You can, of course, shoot it just one time, and it still doesn't die. And then he just finishes it off there. Very well played from Kasva. So I think, there's arguments where you could say walling this much delays your barracks and delays your potential aggression. But honestly, it's so open that I think if you tried to open man-at-arms or anything, it would just make life complicated in defense. So it ain't pretty, but this is Kasva. Kasva plays low-risk Age of Empires, and sometimes players at the highest level are able to punish the walling, and other times they're not. Obviously, for Kasva, he was able to get 3rd place in his group. So there were some pretty strong openings he was up against, and he was able to still to get enough wins to be able to make it here. Interesting eco setup right now from Dragonstar. The fact he's got so much on wood is wild. I think he's going to pull these vills off this street and go back to the pig here in a second, but it's just interesting. Yes, small walling is something that some players will opt to do. Like, this is crazy. We will not see a single player in Platinum try and wall like this. This is just Kasva things, dude. This is ridiculous. And honestly, like, it may not be punished by Dragonstar because Dragonstar hasn't scouted Kasva yet. Dragonstar tried to go double Lumber Camp, which is just uncommon for this quick of a build. So he might not even have the wood for the stable right away. Things are not exactly where he'd want them to be. And also, if he doesn't have his scout here, he won't be able to stop the walling. And honestly, like, Kasva's going to have 2 golds behind these walls. He knows his opponent's going scouts most likely. This is funny. It's going to affect the pathing of Dragonstar's scout. Dragonstar's going to click here, and his scout's going to go that way. Yeah. He's like, what? And now he sees the walls. This shouldn't come as a big surprise for Dragonstar, knowing Kasva. Yeah, I mean, Kasva's got his walls down. There he goes. He's safe. And now Dragonstar probably feeling like, well, I guess I need to wall 2. Doesn't really need to rush them, per se. He's going to have scouts on the way, but I'm not a big fan of the lack of eco upgrades for Dragonstar at the moment. I do think there's actually some fear in Dragonstar's mind because he was late to scouting the barracks. I believe he thinks there could be militia coming. You see how he's double checking? He's rushing down these walls because he didn't have the scout timing. If he would have had some more information, I think he would be able to determine this is just going to be eagles for the time being for Casbah. But I think Spearmen, did I say eagles? A Spearman into Eagles is kind of the game plan here. And Dragonstar now is the question whether it's worth making that many scouts. And also, isn't worth making skirms. Because, you know, if you make skirms, it's super nice with the Lithuanians having that speed, and you can then kill the spears. But then if your opponent's making Eagles, it gets a little bit more questionable. This is the type of game that Kasva wanted. This is the type of game we were going to get. And this is, I think, the very first Civilization pick for Kasva. He's put a lot of you know, his hope into winning on this map to tie up this series. Now, I mean, Kasva's protecting a lot here, right? Protecting all this space is huge. Obviously, there's more gold spread throughout, but what he didn't want to deal with is he didn't want the scouts to be running through his base. Now he can focus freely on focusing on his economy. So, yeah, ideally you have 3 golds back there, but that's not really how, you know, the map works. Good stuff from Dragonstar here. He did see the archer range, so there will be some army coming out from Kasva. And he knows about it, and Dragonstar's just going to run away. Meanwhile, Kasva shows up, sees the archer range then from Dragonstar, so this should now tell him that's probably skirmishers, and I need to get the gold. And the faster I'm on gold, the better it is for me, so I can make a couple eagles. But there's no real rush for either player to make a ton of army right now, honestly. It's not really that big a deal. So for a map this open, it's become quite close and quite chill here. And this will definitely go to Castle Age. And in Castle Age, I think it can be tricky for Dragonstar. Because, you know, Kasva has this whole time while he's on his way to Castle Age to produce eagles out of his barracks. Dragonstar can't do the same with knights. Obviously, light cav is an option. He can upgrade the scouts, but he cannot make knights on the way to the next stage. And what makes that eagle spam so strong is the preemptive numbers. The fact that you could build up those numbers while you're on your way. And this is a lot of free space for Kasva. It's gone heavy into the farms. Hasn't it actually gone to gold? It's interesting. He's making skirms. I think he's hoping to surprise his opponent here. That eagle could be picked off. Nice work from Dragonstar. Dragonstar is going to be happy with that. That's going to be our first kill of the game. Killing an eagle is more value than killing anything else that's on the field right now. Dragonstar just going to drop his blacksmith now. His food eco looks pretty good. He sees the skirms now, and he's probably like, huh? Full trash? What? Not exactly what you would expect. But Kasva likes to make it messy. Kasva's not an optimal player. He's not. He's like a mini MBL almost. If you know MBL, and I'm sure most people do. And that's kind of why Kasva got wrecked by MBL so badly. Like, there's a couple players that are seen that are like this, where they play safe, they play behind walls, they make lots of counter units, and then they're very aggressive in Castle Age, and they're really hard to kill off. And, you know, like, MBL's probably the king of that, so anyone who's below him with the same style normally just gets outplayed with that style. Fletching on the way now for Dragonstar, and Dragonstar, he started making more skirmishers when he saw this. And Kasva just hoping for chip damage, right? He's just thinking, maybe I can poke and bother a couple villagers there, but realistically, he's probably not going to accomplish much. Behind this, Kasva's gone to gold. This is where I'd like to see Kasva slowly making eagles. Dragonstar's double-checking with the scouts. Kasva even backed away, because I think he felt like this would force something from Dragonstar that could kill him, and he's looking now. He's like, I know you have something. What's happening here? He's actually running, he's running through. Anyways, Dragonstar's going to see this army's come home now. Dragonstar could have definitely been more assertive with those skirms. He has the faster skirms, but I think he's worried that Kasva would have more eagles in the mix than he really does right now. This is where you want the second and the third barracks to go up if you're Kasva, and you start to produce those eagles. I got to be critical of him. He's not producing eagles right now. Like, this is an important moment. He will do it. I have no doubt about it, but as Kasva gets his first kill, right when I say I'm going to be critical of him, he's going to get a second kill now, and as this little trash army is actually contributing a decent amount, we aren't seeing any more eagle production from him. Dragonstar just trying to use his skirms against his opponent's spears and eagles there, and Kasva was microing that really well. Really frustrating feeling, too. When you want to open up with aggressive scouts and then you just run into walls, not a fun feeling to have. As we see triple ranges here from Dragonstar. Oh, so Dragonstar is going to go Cav Archers with Light Cav? Wow, this is very unique. This is really different. I mean, with Huns, with Mongols, with Tatars, you might see that. He definitely knows it's Eagles. But, guys, it could end up surprising Kasva here, as Kasva's going 4 barracks. I think the concern for Dragonstar is, if he goes all in Knights, it'll be Pike and Monk he's up against, and he's not really sure how to deal with that. I have faith in the Cav Archer play. I remember, like, many games in the past where players would get to Cav Archers, and then somehow with those Cav Archers end up getting that mass in Castle Age against the Eagles. That's not bad for Kasva, though. To be able to kill 2 of those scouts could be out patrolling on relics later. That's really good. Kasva hits Castle Age. Kasva shows up now. Kasva is definitely expecting Knights from his opponent. And it's going to be Cav Archers. Let's see how it goes here. Eagle Warriors on the way for Kasva. Now, this isn't all in from Kasva. Kasva can boom off this eventually. And Cav Archers are shown, and this is where you might be thinking about adding a Siege Workshop for Scorpions if you're Kasva. But honestly, with 4 barracks and being Aztecs, the Aztec production's so insane, I think you can just outmass. And you don't really have any long-term bonuses to get excited about with Cav Archers if you're Lithuanians. I do think they get full blacksmith upgrades. They're probably missing like Parthian tactics or something. I'm not actually sure if they get Thumb Ring, which is a really important one for Castle Age. Maybe chat could help me out there. Yeah, Cav Archer the play for Dragonstar to counter the #1 civilization here for Kasva. Kasva is going for the Siege Workshop. Also has the Monastery to start thinking about getting relics. So this scout becomes really important. May see that scout patrol over here on this relic. But I would assume at this point that Dragonstar is most likely going to just be scouting the map for the relics and not really looking for monk kills. Yeah, there was an overchop here for Kasva. He did just close that up. Wood could be a real issue for him. But could be an issue for both players. Ballistics is on the way. Cav Archers will show up. All Kasva wants to know is, where are your Cav Archers? Usually you see an immediate pullback here. I think he's distracted by the scout. He just lost an eagle. Might have lost a little bit of HP. Scout goes down for Dragonstar. Now the monk can move out from Kasva and start to get those relics. And I feel like Kasva has been able to play the type of game that he wanted here, right? He got his walls down. He wasn't able to be punished by it because the scout approach didn't work too hot against it. And now he's got those eagles. Now he's got those scorpions. But and the CA mass is no joke. The thing is, monks don't really matter as much now. And you have 5 pierce armor max in Castle Age, and Cav Archers, they do 8 damage. So you did 3 damage a hit with the Cav Archers. Not to mention you have a lot of HP. And Dragonstar really using that mobility right now. And he hasn't lost many CA yet. He's done a great job here. What an interesting call. I can guarantee you Kasva was not expecting this. Now, he's done the right thing ever since he saw it, right? He's added a bunch of Scorpions, but the Scorpions are slow. And Dragonstar's micros looked really good here. And Dragonstar only lost 1 Cav Archer. But still, there's 14 Eagles, though. And there's Thumb Ring, by the way. I see chat responding to me now. Yeah, that's all that matters here. Basically, he's hoping that he takes good engagements in Castle Age, and then he can switch into something else later. This is where you have to get worried. Just 1 relic for Kasva. Kasva wanting to raid. He doesn't want to react all the time. He's headed over towards that wood line. Dragonstar still microing. Can you imagine how useless Scorpions would be if they did friendly fire, by the way? Like, we just get used to them not doing friendly fire, but it's kind of funny to see all those shots pass through the Eagles. Obviously, you know, the Eagles take no damage from it, if you haven't realized that already. Pretty hype game here so far. Eagles going to get picked off. Nice job from Dragonstar to track the raids. This is where I think if you started to make scouts and went like Cav with your Cav archers, it could work pretty decently. Casbah, not able to keep track of things. He just wants those relics with those monks. But Dragonstar unable to keep track as well. And what is happening here from Dragonstar? Cav archers are super weak there. He's got 24 CA, and there's 24 eagles from Casbah. He's always going to have 4 eagles. Second town center up for Casbah. Casbah's going to get relic number 3. I prefer Casbah's position right now. I think it is much harder to win from Dragonstar's current position. It is possible, though. Because once you get to 30 CA, it feels like Castle Age Eagles doesn't work anymore. It's really the Scorpions, though, that are strong. And Dragonstar, I don't know what he's doing. He's probably adding farms. He's probably adding eco. Oh, he was reacting to the raids. Kasva has split up to raid, and Dragonstar hasn't let him in, which is huge. And the CA got hit because of that, but the CA are going to back away. And that is a game-saving quick wall from Dragonstar. I didn't even see the Eagles were over there. That's ridiculous. And actually now I love the TC position as well because it protects the gold. If it was behind the gold, it would not do so. That was disgusting. I might need to look back at that later. Because if Dragonstar wins this game, it might come down to that. He could have lost 15 villagers right there. And he could have lost his Cav Archers while reacting. And guys, look at these Thumb Ring Cav Archers go. I remember a game from 4 years ago. It was Doubt that actually started it. It was Huns versus Aztecs. Huns, of course, have really cheap Cav Archers, so it's a much better Cav Archer civilization. But once you got to 30, it really felt like Scorpions were the only things that was really offering anything. But, you know, despite that, I mean, the eco is 63 to 63. Kasva's got 3 relics. Probably is going to end up getting 4, and that's a ton of gold income for him. I love this town center spot. This town center protects the gold. I also love how he's dropped houses. Now, there is a hole here, but I don't think Dragonstar will ever realistically go in there. This TC timing, though, is just epic. I assume... Yeah, okay, I was going to say Kasva should notice that. And Dragonstar was like, he didn't garrison yet. He didn't garrison yet, so maybe I can kill some vills here. Now, to get to this many Cav Archers, you have been spending your wood on the CA. You don't have that many farms, so notice the food eco is not that ridiculous right now. And Dragonstar still needs to find good engagements here. One big mango shot on these Scorpions, and suddenly all hell breaks loose, though. Dragonstar needs to know where those Scorpions are at the moment. He's going to find out. And he's hoping this mango, which is in there, is going to find the spots. Now, I guess Casbah, you know, he wants to push the town center, so he's headed his own mangonel. It's going to go down. Oh, it doesn't go down to the Cav Archers, actually. Dang, man. This is critical mass for you guys. Critical mass the Scorpions as well, to be honest with you. But they are more vulnerable. They are slower. Impressive. I'm really happy we're seeing this level from Kasva because the first game, it was just clear to me he wasn't super comfortable there. But he picks these maps for a reason. He plays like a beast on these maps. This is awesome. He does not have vision right now on this, and he could get surprised. But he sees what's coming now. Dragonstar defends nicely. Cav Archers are going to get some beautiful kills. Kasva's going to dive. I think it's ill-advised. I think it's an ill-advised dive, but he's doing it because he doesn't want his siege to be picked off, so maybe it's worth it. Actually, it might end up being decent because now all of his siege can push forward. That's the reason he did that. Didn't actually lose that many eagles. Big hill, though. Big hill, important hill. Dragonstar just kills 1. He needs more Scorpion kills. That's decent. Split micro from Dragonstar. Again, so much freaking siege, and he still hasn't lost much, and he backs away. Both players desperate to get the platinum. Dragonstar, again, the favorite in the series, but Kasva's all on top of him right now. Kasva's got 4 mangonels in queue. He's gone double siege workshop. This is crazy. And it's perfect, honestly, because he has enough eagles. He just needs more siege all the time. It's very rare that players will go double siege workshop in these spots. Okay, good micro there. Dragonstar, will he realize that's weak? Kasva repairing. Kasva losing eagles over here, but soon Dragonstar could lose his town center. Dragonstar's going to need a castle soon. And I think, you know, we're seeing just how difficult it is for the Cav Archers to pay off if that's all you have. And Kasva's got 6 mangonels on that TC right now. That TC is going to be gone soon. And Dragonstar, if he wants to drop a castle, if anything, it's going to have to be behind this TC. But TC is going to be gone soon. And then maybe the castle has to be somewhere far more defensive than this. Kasva taking Dragonstar apart right now. And he just continues to have epic micro with the siege as well. 8 mangonels. 8. Dragonstar falling apart. And probably, like, after game 1, I'm sure he was feeling amazing. And now he's probably like, oh my goodness. Like, this is not the Casbah I wanted to play here in this series. Why not mix Cav? Well, you know, it's tricky, guys. If you have 2 to 3 knights, that's what a lot of people are probably thinking. With the Eagle mass, high-level players, they're just going to get the Eagles right next to it. And then you don't have many upgrades on the knights. It's a problem. I agree with you that I would have tried to mix Cav. I'm not saying it's bad. I don't feel as though 2 to 3 Cav would be enough. He probably would need 5 or 6. Then Kasva's not far away from adding a couple monks. It just is really tricky. And it's not just units. It's also, he has to add eco. There's so many different things that have to happen. So it's very difficult to forget certain aspects of the game or not be able to when you only have so much speed. Like there, the latest ran in and killed the mangonel. That's really nice use of his units. He's actually trying to counterattack with the Cav Archers now because he knows all the siege is on the front. And I think this game is going bad enough for you right now if you're Dragonstar where you actually do run in. I think if the game's closer, you don't take that risk because you know Scorpions are going to be following. But oh god, if he finds this, if Dragonstar only continued this way, he would have found 17 villager kills. Kasva's kind of, you know, leaving his base with a lot of these villagers right now. So Cav is what Dragonstar's probably thinking because he's got Latis. A couple villagers going down. The eco's not pretty for Kasva. Lots of idle time. But these Cav Archers need a way out or the Scorpions will kill them. There's a world where you can do a runner here if you're Dragonstar. You don't want to group up like this. He's distracted. You could distract the Scorpions. But he is super distracted because this castle's not going up. And Kasva's push just continues. Like, Kasva does not allow Dragonstar any rest at home. Which is essentially what the counterattack was hoping to do. It was give himself some space, give himself some time at home. This is insane. Now, random Latis pops in. Boom. Mangonel down. Well played. Good stuff from Dragonstar. Is he going to get another one? He gets another one. That's 2 of them. That's not too bad. Maybe he can do it again. He has no food eco. Cav Archers have still killed a lot of things here. Kasva's going to buy 800 food. Cav Archers, had they come this way, I think would have accomplished a lot more, but they're going to be through. They're going to save themselves. Well played. And guys, this game is about to get very interesting because Dragonstar's YOLOing forward. He's bringing 1 Latis to protect, and he is going to drop a castle there. I'm not sure Casbah will see this. Also, a Latis shows up to kill some of these mangonels, and Kasva's going to drop his own castle. But Dragonstar knows he's blocking the castle foundation. He could tell. He knows what that means. And so he's blocking the foundation. This is going to lead to so many losses for Kasva. He lost his entire siege push. Dragonstar's Cav Archers still are able to get away. And Dragonstar's castle will go up. What a crazy game. This whole game has been ridiculous. And it's actually, like, really difficult for Kasva to know where to go right now. Because if he goes here, there's a castle. Remember, Bodcanero's been in, Ballistic, so you can't be anywhere near Castle Fire. There's still Cav Archers roaming around. And Dragonstar's gonna, you know, if he stops here, find a feast of kills. And, you know, you kind of committed towards Eagles. And Latis from the Lithuanians, they're really good against Eagles. So I thought the Cav Archers would be done, and then he'd try and switch to Cav. No, the Cav Archers have found excellent value this game. 40 kills. And Casbah, he did end up making a castle here. I don't know if you guys saw that. But Casbah might actually be... I mean, I think he is behind right now. That said, he's making petards here, and he could take care of this castle shortly. There's also rams coming out somewhere as well. I can't quite tell you. It's probably one of the siege workshops. Yeah. You know, in the event this castle gets petarded down, extremely problematic for Dragonstar in this area if he doesn't have the army. Great job from Dragonstar. Boom. Right back to the castle. Here he has to garrison his TCs, and he's got to bring some units over here to defend from this. Wow. This castle, like, everything Dragonstar did was awesome. The counterattack and then this castle both needed to happen. If you do one and not the other, I think you have big problems here. Remember, with the relics being on this map, Latus, they ignore armor, and then you get the +1 attack per relic collected, and he's got 2 of them. But that extra 2 attack when your eco's been kind of fragile this game is so helpful. A while ago, it was 50 eagles for Kasva, and Kasva's just down to 20 now. I mean, he's going to find some villagers there. That's a really nice find for him, and he's still up at 100. But, yeah, scores flip-flopping back and forth. Population's dead even right now, and we have ourselves a pretty ridiculous game. And it's not over, because Kasva has a defensive castle here, so he can't be raided. He ended up taking out Dragonstar's castle here, so he's now protected. He sees the Latus coming in, converts one with his monk, and then kills the rest with the scorpions. Shout out to the scorpions. You thought the scorpions were still going to be useless, guys. Idle time's ridiculous for both. We just see TCs everywhere for Dragonstar, though. He's going to have 6 TCs in the north. 7 TCs in the north. What? I'd almost like to see hill forts at that point. Get extra range on your town centers. I mean, what's kind of... Another TC! Excuse me? Well, what's interesting is now the Lithuanians get +100 food when they build a TC. So I think is actually to help with your reboom. If you floating a lot of stone and wood, I think it's actually kind of helpful to just plop up a couple TCs. And if you could add farms throughout it as well, it could be really good. Cav Archer number, it's going to just go down from here. We won't see Dragonstar make any more Cav Archers, most likely. And Dragonstar's sticking fully to Latus. And these CA, they will be found out. He didn't know about this castle till now, Dragonstar. I think Kasva's kind of shook right now. The fact they never checked this gold is pretty telling. But he wants to go imp, and Dragonstar wants to do the same. And I would say a full switch to pikemen with your monks would be the play here for Kasva. And you can't really see the scorpions because of the ruins there. But all those scorpions go down. And wow, we have both players imping and both players that are 115 villagers right now. You really need defensive castles over here if you're Dragonstar, though, because eagle raids could be the death of you otherwise. This castle also from Kasva, it might not look like it protects much, but it makes it really awkward for Dragonstar to pass to the right areas. And when you have so many TCs spread out throughout the map, it's so easy to just not look at one area, and that's what happened there. Late reaction from Dragonstar. Granted, he was doing other things. It's just always going to be scorpions around for Kasva, apparently. What a game. Also, Arson is in, so this TC could be taken out. There's not enough arrow fire from that. Couple Vil picks here. Late is still around over here. Castle from Dragonstar. And for the first time in this game, he's getting armor. Both players should be doing eco upgrade checks, just, you know, making sure they have the eco upgrades that they need. What was it, 10 or 11 relics on the map? And it looks like 10 of those relics have been collected. This is an awesome game. Best game on Graveyard so far in TTL. And there's been some epic ones. And Castle will go up. So, all right. So I think for Dragonstar, your best unit is obviously the latest, but I think you're going to need hand cannons. And I'm wondering if he's going to have the golden come for that. There's gold and stone spread out everywhere. So, like, here, this gold seems crucial. This gold and stone they're going to fight over. Kasva's got gold and stone all around. That will not be a concern. And then with 6 relics with the Aztecs, that's brought in thousands already, I'm sure. 4K gold from relics. Granted, he's had relics for longer. But the beauty of the latest is you can kind of pick your spots. You can switch around, right? And do things like this, pick it off, then run away. But the death ball play from Kasva could be tricky. So Kasva needs to build up trebs with all of his pikes in one spot and just snowball it. Kind of similar to what he was doing before. And what'll make it fun is Dragonstar's way out of that is to do what he had done before, and it's to try and hit different areas and raid the sides. To use that mobility. But yeah, I really do think he's going to need some way to counter the pikes. I know you ignore armor, dude, but that's a lot of bonus damage plus the +4 attack from these pikemen. As Garland Wars was the first thing researched in Imp for Kasva. These are some extra pointy boys now. So he's up to 7 + 6 attack on the Eagles, and then 4 + 6 attack on those pikes. Amazing game from these two. And it has to be, like, this is a must-win for Kasva. Kasva would have to win 3 straight to win this series and get promoted to Platinum otherwise. This is as advertised from Kasva. He's just so good at the late game. He's so good at staying alive. Like I said, this castle could be so valuable. It actually has 0 kills because of no ballistics. Chemistry, skirm upgrades coming in for Dragonstar. But for now, trying to use that mobility. Clearly focused on adding some buildings and whatever else at the moment. I think he's scared of what's to come here. Building outposts now to know about it. Latest numbers really low, though. Vil count's good. Eco upgrades are good. The eco upgrades are now ahead of Kasva. And now Kasva's starting to make the trebs. He's also getting lots of monk upgrades. He's actually massing a ridiculous amount of monks here. He's got 8 monks with 6 in queue. But remember, you know about this castle. So this is, I think, the perfect play here from Kasva. This is so good. Build the castle. Build up your trebs. Treb push from this area. All right, there you are. Elite Latest. Strong unit. But that's a unit that Kasva would love to switch over to his side. And that's why the monks are here. This is where you need the range. But chemistry always takes time. It's just now completed. Skirms are always iffy when there's elite eagles out as well. It feels like the Aztecs can always do anything. They can convert your cav. They could use eagles to raid you or eagles against your skirms. And they can use pikes against your latest if the cav's not converted. And so for that reason, I prefer Kasva's position. Kasva has 7 relics. Kasva's going to stonewall the map. What a smart play. Look at this wall. I mean, if it goes up, it's sick. Really, the only thing Kasva's missing right now is just freaking trebs. That's it. Is these 2 castles, this castle just making the trebs and pushing. That's the only thing he's missing. He has the army. He just needs to be, you know, hitting Dragonstar in the mouth with it. This is a really nice castle here from Dragonstar. Just to keep Kasva open and distracted. All right, now I say don't trickle treb a lot during Low Elo Legends, but I don't say it that much during the pros scene these days. I feel like 2 years ago, players would trickle more. This is a trickle. You leave 1 treb out there, that's an easy pick-off for Dragonstar. That is not something that you should allow to happen here if you're Kasva. And Kasva wasn't paying attention to his monks, and the latest go in, and your only armor is the armor of God, and I guess there's no armor to ignore there, but... Anyways, Kasva knows... Wow, those were some fast conversions. Are you kidding me? Kasva knows he needs to pay attention to this now. I imagine he was very distracted over here, and he now needs to account for the latest raids by leaving army over here, but his monks are ready. And now Dragonstar's not prepared, and now there's going to be like 6 or 7 latest on Kasva's side. This has given Dragonstar time, however, to mass gunpowder, and it's the gunpowder there's no true counter to right now from Kasva. Kasva would need to go for skirms, and Aztecs have great skirmishers. So it's certainly an option. I suppose you could also use monks to just convert some of the hand cannons. Kasva doing that right now, and he's got the trebs. Let's see. Dragonstar repairing here. And still there's latest out, and those latest could go for all of those trebs. Now Dragonstar's also raiding here. Dragonstar choosing to go in for those monks with the skirms. And still happy to repair that castle. I'm surprised. I feel like I would have used those latest for all those trebs. He's going to try it now, but he's obviously doing a million different things. And because of how messy it is, because of how in-your-face this push is from Kasva, Dragonstar's unable to get the timing right. And the castle does fall. Now, I mean, just treb down all the TCs. Just bam, 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 bam. Take the TCs as well. Why don't you? Latest are currently attacking a farm. That is not Dragonstar's fault. You patrol into farms in 2023 with Age of Empires 2 DE. Why can we patrol into farms, devs? I don't get it. He just patrolled on attack stance, and he was just attacking farms, and now it gave time for Kasva to react. Great reaction time. More latest going to break through. And then, Late is still kind of running through there. So, you know what I want to check is how many kills has Dragonstar gotten from buildings? Like, I think he's got a lot. His TCs, his castles, but he's going to start losing this castle. What a great decision here from Kasva. He took the castle on the left. Dragonstar had to brace himself in this area for the push because it could have continued, and he's just shifting focus because this has been an issue. And so now he's taken out that castle. Still needs to push across the map. There's a monk there, by the way. I'm wondering if Kasva... It's Aztec, so he'll probably get a conversion there. Nope. Nope. What about this guy? He's not paying attention. He gets that one. And Dragonstar knows about it. Great job from Dragonstar to pay attention to that, though. That's insane. Look at this army, dude. Look at this army. It looks like an AI army right now. All these monks and pikes moving together. We've got elite Latis. We've got hand cannons. We've got monks. Casbah, you might be going a little too heavy on the monks, though, my friend. He's going to be up to 20 monks soon. I don't know if he's really a player that can control that many monks. For me, if I get above, like, 6, then suddenly I don't feel all that strong. He does have hill control. He's got 3 castles here. He's also got full stone walls, so all this eco should be safe. Unless he chops through the wood line, which is more and more a possibility. He's walling this. He's got the hill. He can shift focus over to Dragonstar here, and Dragonstar needs to find an answer to this. He's scared of those monks, and Dragonstar sinks 1k gold into heresy. So his units now, if they get converted, they simply choose to die. All right, well, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting. Heresy will obviously pay off. Had he not had Heresy, I think this could have been a bit riskier for Dragonstar to take the fight. Will Heresy swing the fight? The pikemen are kind of out of position, which means the eagles and the monks are very exposed. Oh my goodness. Dragonstar is probably thinking, this could be it for me. This could be it. I could do it. But then there's so many pikemen. But he takes the fight anyways. I mean, you ignore the armor. You've got gunpowder and you've got pikes mixed in. It's costly for you to toss away Latis, but he wins the fight and he defends. And now Kasva doesn't have army here. At Kasva's trebs, Kasva's monks, everything is so exposed. And I think you just still want to kill the monks anyways. I know you're going to lose some units here. They're going to get converted and die, but that is a lot of gold down the drain for Kasva, as Kasva desperate for the hill control. He's still going to have castles everywhere. This is going to be one of the best games in Titans League. The Kasva loses a lot, but Kasva's got castles, and Kasva has 7 relics bringing him gold. Like, there's no castle here to defend Dragonstar. There's this castle, and then there's this castle. Whereas Dragonstar's got castle, 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 or Kasva has castle, 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 wood, space to farm, walls. I mean, at what point? I mean, Dragonstar's now out of gold? Yeah, I mean, if Dragonstar's out of gold, I think Kasva is in the better late game position, guys. He's got more map walled off, and he has those castles. And so that means that any gold unit you have needs to be extremely productive. And that's productive there for the latest. Ooh, and this is nice. There's actually gold over here, and Kasva sees he's been spotted. Okay, so we're going to see a whole bunch of red army come over here because Kasva does not want Dragonstar to have that stone and gold. And a Dragonstar's building trebs to push somewhere, and I think he's going to aim to push this area. But now he doesn't have army here, and Kasva's ready again. And now this ranged army that shifted over here to fight with his own trebuchets, they now need to pull back. And you're just going to get picked apart. If you don't have castle spots, you will get picked apart. Not to mention, you can't make Latis anymore. We actually have Cavalier research right now for Dragonstar. I wonder if he's trying to get Winged Hussar and he misclicked. Or if he wants to go Cavalier because he knows Latis won't be an option anymore with no castles. Jaguar Warriors. Satisfying to see. Great awareness from Kasva. This is an amazing game. We got to see some really cool units in this game. Some different strategies the whole way through. I mean, I think you have to, like, say that both players came back at times, right? Like, felt like Dragonstar maybe had a lead. Never considerable, but then Kasva definitely had a lead. Then Dragonstar brought it back. And it looked like Kasva was going to fall apart, and then Kasva was able to collect himself. And this is where Kasva needs to get Eagles into corners. Eagles here, that's not going to be all that valuable. Eagles into corners is going to be valuable, as we've got some Cavalier, which seems like that was intentional from Dragonstar, and Lightcap here to take this out. And the Trebs are here to take this castle out. That castle will fall for Kasva. So both players have lost the castle. Again, Eagles in this corner completely wrecks Dragonstar, but he's still okay. The castle falls for Kasva. And now Kasva's thinking, what more can I do? And he's getting a ladle. And then he's getting leather archer armor. So knowing it's going to be a full trash game. And then we also have tower shields for Dragonstar. So both players getting techs that affect their skirms at the same time. Sick. Oh man, you got to defend this trap. Oh man, if Kasbah kills that trap. Oh, that's such a costly loss. And Kasbah's going to get the next one too. +8 attack. Boink. Sick find. Villagers, be very careful which tree you chop, okay? Because those cav are waiting for you. Oh my word. Speaking of cav, light cav coming in. Aztecs won't have cav to raid, which could be an issue in the long run. And these trebs could also go down. The monks hop out onto the other side, though. It's nifty move. Dragonstar, don't even go for the monks. Kasva will just go right back in that castle. Is there a world where Kasva opens the gate and Dragonstar runs in here? You see that? Like, there's actually opportunities there. The Eagles get clicked over here. I did see there were some red units that went this way at one point from Kasva, but it must not have been much. It might have been these Eagles that have now gone here. And, well, Cavalier going for Kasva's trebs. Kasva realizing this. But he's got the castles to fall back to. This castle here is 21 kills. It's so hard to break someone if you don't have defensive castles, and Dragonstar just knows. I won't be able to win this game because I will eventually just be picked apart and raided to death. And honestly, the Eagles found a really good spot, and he just didn't have the army count himself anymore. Eagles would have killed these villagers quickly with that +9, +8 attack. And Eagles were also running in over here from Kasva. I mean, look at this. Eagles here, here, and here. And then, of course, the main push in the middle, he was able to stop. There was no potential for push anymore from Dragonstar. He didn't have the relic count that Kasva had. A beautiful, a ridiculous, I'd say, Graveyards game. And that was just so well played from both players. I think, like, back to what I said in Dark Age, it's not pretty what Kasva did, just the full wall thing. But he didn't want scout mobility to be possible. And then, like, it's like Aztecs can do no wrong. If you go Light Cav and Knights combined, then Kasva with the 4 barracks just switches pikes. So, and of course, there's still monks out there, and Aztec monks can be really strong and maybe convert some of those knights. So, that's why Dragonstar went Cav Archers. And I think people can see why Dragonstar went Cav Archers. But, you know, obviously, he lost a lot of grounds in order to, you know, he lost a lot of ground because of that. I would argue that he did pretty well with them, and I think Kasva just played really, really strong the whole way through. Kasva's recovery after he got castle dropped was sick. And remember, he lost like 5 mangonels. He lost like tons of eagles in this game. That was beautiful. Dragonstar, more wood, more food collected. For Kasva, it was the gold. He brought in 10,000 gold. 10,000 gold from relics. Someone says latest was such a huge mistake. No. Let's reword it for a second, okay? I don't think either player made a huge mistake in this game. Can we at least say that they both played incredible? And anything that didn't work for them was because the opponent was ready. We had fortified wall in this game. We had tons of monks in this game. We had skirms. We had TC rebooms. We had castle drops. I actually think latest made a lot of sense. He had more castles than stables at the time the castles went up. I think both players played incredible. I think the difference was actually Kasva's map control and maybe a little bit of forward thinking there with his walls. Obviously, if this hits the main YouTube channel, the full best of 5 will be in the description. It's going to be on the extras channel. This is to get into Platinum League and get promoted this series. So I'm sure the rest of the games are going to be good as well. Check that out if you want to see the rest of the maps. That was just peak Graveyards, and that was an incredible game. I love it. I love Graveyards because there's so much stone and gold, and there's so much reason to expand. They both had ridiculous vision this game. Look at the vision from Kasva, and then look at the scouting and vision from Dragonstar. How frequently do you see a game where both players are 95% scouting, and they've been basically everywhere? It's not that common. So game number 3, and we've got a clowny one. We've got either a heavy eco or a heavy aggression map. And at least based on what I've seen in Zawal, this has actually been more aggressive than even arena games in the previous season. So this could be pretty wild here. Kasva's opted for the Portuguese. I feel like the Portuguese is a really solid pick. Cheaper gold units the whole way through. And pretty solid economy. And then Dragonstar's gone for the Burgundians, which is a civilization that you don't normally associate with all-in aggression. You normally associate the Burgundians with the like couple town centers. They're really good on arena because on arena there's no wall that separates you from relics, so you can use the light cav in the middle while you boom. Now here it's a little bit different though, because if you make light cav, you're just protecting the relics that are already protected by a wall. This is a wall that the players share. So oh, that's Gaia vision actually. That's kind of interesting. Sorry, we want Dragonstar vision. Yeah, I don't know if adding the light cav is really the play. Because, I mean, in theory, you could have 1,000 light cav here, but if you don't break down that wall, the monks are still going to be able to convert you one by one. So you would need to break through the wall and then add light cav. And I could see that being an option for him. I wonder what Kaz was thinking. Because, like, honestly, I would think about going organ guns, I think. I know that new organ guns, some people seem to think is weak. I did a cast yesterday where I cast 1150 elo and at least proved that elite organ guns are ridiculous. Like, organ guns are insane. But it's more so the early game where I'm not sure organ guns are that good. So, and that would be the moment where I would consider, going for them, is early Castle Age here. Yeah, Kasva's not really that great at the closed maps. He looked a little out of place in that Game 3 versus Nilly in their Play All 3. Which, I mean, after that series, after Kasva lost 2-1 versus Nilly, I thought everyone was thinking, the odds were saying even, Nilly's going to get 3rd place, go to the playoffs. And then it's going to be Kasva who drops down to 4th. Kasva then needed a 3-0 in his final round in the groups. Got his 3-0 with some ridiculous games against FedEx, and that's why he's here. So, but yeah, the last time I saw him, he lost with the Burmese on this map. But that was up against the Bohemians. I think the Portuguese are better than the Burmese. Ever so slightly. But I think the Burgundians are really, really hard to stop. Like, I think it's weird we haven't seen the Burgundians played more. I think that's because a lot of players have been going for monk civilizations, but I feel like this civ should always be really strong. Does anyone know how the wall is generated? I don't have more specifics than for you, other than the fact that the wall goes to the edge of the map and that the players can't access the edge of the map, so it's not blocked off by the wood. That makes sense. But yeah, there are obviously some cases where there's double, and I guess this isn't triple, but there's at least 3 tiles of space. I kind of like it, honestly. It just does. If it looked too clean and too polished, I feel like it wouldn't have as much spice for me, I don't know what it is about the double layers in some areas. What would be the play, though? The play would be to break down this piece of wall. Oh, it would look cool if you broke down 2 pieces and then you made a gate on either side. Obviously, you probably just want to break down 1 tile and make a gate, and it doesn't really matter where. If anything, you're going to base your gate and your position on your golds. Like I think you would want a castle here, and then you figure out breaking through later. So Yeah, it could be some type of terrain that generates. I don't know. But guys, eco upgrades an age earlier for the Burgundians. Eco upgrades cheaper for the Burgundians. Dragonstar all over it. And Kasva probably feeling like he has to punish it in some way. But also, in the back of his mind, every other time he played this map, people were going really aggressive. So I'm sure he's kind of on the fence. We did see a siege tower once or twice on this map before. One of them was, so we had a bunch of monks here from one player, and he had broken through. And the other player siege towered eagles over and just looped around and surprised all the monks and killed them. And actually, you know, that was FedEx, who I think FedEx is the player who probably played the best strategically in Titans League. Titans League Gold. Sorry, let me reword that. Of all the players who are relegated, I think that FedEx had the best strategy. But he threw a lot of positions. I think it was really painful for FedEx fans. Like, he could have had so many wins if he just had the skill to figure it out and just finish off these guys. That proved to be a really difficult task for him. Is this like a fast imp here from Dragonstar? He's got 2 on stone. This wouldn't make sense for a castle drop. I'm really thinking about this. Normally, if you're just going for scouts, 26 pop would be a little fast. Like, I think 27 pop behind the eco upgrades for scouts is perfect. So, you know, it seems like he's going to take his time here. We'll see how he spends his wood. Okay, he's definitely thinking about a fast castle, right? Because he's not building more farms, but the food's not going to be there. I think this is a miscalculation with the builds here for Dragonstar. He definitely won't be able to just add 2 villagers and go up behind the buildings. There's the market. I think he might need to add a 3rd vill. It's not the end. It's not the end of the world, but all right. Kasva's on the way to the next stage already. Kasva could be thinking about what he wants to do here. Nilly was fine in strats. Well, he's not relegated. Nilly's in 4th, so Nilly will be back in gold next time. FedEx was in 5th, right? I agree that Nilly's strats were really good. But of the players that were relegated, I think the strats were there. I think, like, a player like Mihai, I still think... Or not Mihai, sorry. Mihai will be in the next playoff match. El Matador? I've got a bit of Matador bias because I think he's insanely talented. I think that in terms of skill, he's the best player who got relegated. But his strategy suffered at times, and he ended up being tied on 5 wins, but had lost that 2-1 series to Target. And Target stays alive in that group. I was wrong, by the way. He was able to add 2 vills, a little bit of idle time, and then Dragonstar's on the way up. So it wasn't as bad as I thought when I originally looked at his eco. It just didn't flow in the way that I was expecting. We have this decider today, and then we have Matador. What is wrong with me? I'm mixing up Matador and Mihai. Sorry, I got Matador on the mind. We have Hart versus Mihai next. And then tomorrow will be the final 2. With the big one, I mean, they're all big. They're all really important. Don't get me wrong. Because it's going to be Slam and Dark for one of them. But the big one is Nikov versus Vinchester. Nikov fell to the 3rd place spot. And Vinchester was in the 2nd place spot. And these are all 2nd place versus 3rd in different groups. Nikov, Vinch, one player will move on. Other player, they're going to be back in gold the next season. Can you add the country flags for the players? Oh, I thought I had it there. It must have removed itself. I will do that just as soon as I see how this goes, because this is really important. Okay, so Kasva's adding rams. And surely he's not going to be able to stop this castle, right? I think he's going to chance it here. I think he's going to try. Those walls are weak. Now, you can tell Dragonstar's like, just in case. I'm gonna just not build this monastery right now. But double ram push to go for this castle? I mean, what do you do with the rams if the castle actually goes up? You have to go somewhere else, right? So castle goes up for Dragonstar. And Dragonstar knows its monks and knows its rams. And for Kasva, he does not have good food eco right now, guys. There's not good food eco. He doesn't have the eco upgrades either that Dragonstar does. And Dragonstar is going to add those farms. So Dragonstar's eco should be superior. But monks from Kasva could convert the units that we're currently seeing from Dragonstar's castle. All right, I think this is a good time to add the flags. I'm not sure what happened there. Sorry, I just didn't realize. I think the flags add a nice touch, right? It looks really good. Wait, hello, India? Hello? This just in. Capture age is biased against India. Okay, we're fine. So I guess it wasn't a ton of wasted time there. But that's a monk there that could get picked off by this scout. Well played, Dragonstar. Just finding some nice value. How did that monk not die on that hit? I'll never know. He now gets to see its double monastery, run away from those monks, and he might be thinking how he counters that. And his scout's still moving around. Casbah might get a conversion. And those two monks, well on their way to getting the conversion, so Dragonstar runs away. And this relic just gets snagged by Dragonstar. That's going to be 2. I'm not sure if he'll be able to get the 3rd, though. The scout's just going to loop right back to this castle. Okay, now Kasva shouldn't lose this. You should never lose that scout. That's a good play. It would make sense for Atonement to come in for both players if there's monks, to convert enemy monks, right? Dragonstar going to loop-de-loop towards the main eco of Kasva, though. And does Kasva see that? Kasva doesn't catch a glimpse of that, guys. I don't think Kasva is expecting this. We'll know in a second if he is. He sees the scout. Obviously, you pay attention to that. The scout's going to run away now. Might be converted. It won't be. This is big for Dragonstar. It will be. It will be. He deletes it because of it. Oh, and the sneaky units are going right to the gold. Kasva didn't account for this. He sees it, though. He couldn't quick wall it, so he correctly runs away. He can at least quick wall the wood line. And honestly, could have been way worse for Kasva here. Losing 1 Vil and having to leave your gold temporarily is not the end of the world. But this does give some initiative to Dragonstar, who behind this is going double stable and going into light cap. I love it. So many players are stubborn. Like, I'm the biggest Doubt fan there is. But, like, for example, Doubt. If we see him run into this situation in Platinum, what do you think he does? He's probably like, well, I gotta hope that my Coustier can kill the monks. And then he loses a bunch to conversions. And then he's like, oh, the monks. Oh, the monks. I hate monks. And then he, you know, builds a regrettable castle. But seriously, your Burgundians, cheaper stable upgrades. Yeah, this unit is strong, but it doesn't resist conversion. So I think you just swoop in with the light cap. That's a good play. Now, this is a great play from Kasva. And that's going to be 2 monks dead there from Dragonstar. And that's sloppy. He also hid the stable. And actually, what's kind of fun about this is Kasva's going to see this stable and think he doesn't have light cap yet. But then, well, actually, the surprise is ruined because he now sees the light cap. And I think he's kind of freaking out right now because he knows these monks have to run. And he knows it's going to be a long journey. And he knows he needs to turn around. And the light cap were perfectly timed. This whole push is dead in the water. Whole push is dead in the water. +2 attack would be perfect. The Rams will go down as well. The eco's still pretty good. Is going to be pretty good for for Kasva. Sorry, for Dragonstar. And very nice from Dragonstar. Not the end of the world for Kasva, though. He has 4 relics. He now knows that there could be light cap, so he has time to maybe wall or play defensive. Res collected in this game. It is better for Kasva, but not better in the food eco, though. It's not insane for Dragonstar just yet. There's been a lot of market use from Dragonstar to get there. Look how much food he bought. Look how much he's used that market. I guess my concern is, how do you stop the light cap from just ruining your day? Like, what is there to stop Dragonstar from now siege pushing all of this down? I guess the hope is, that you get conversions anyways, but your monks then need to hide behind and next to your town center. This is why I would love to see Rams from Dragonstar now, just to ram down these buildings. Because you should have full activity on the front. Looping back around, sees the TC now from Kasva, sees the monks, loops in for the monks that will then hop into the TC. And then Kasva can hop out of the TC again, but it's not easy. It's a lot of work. It's not fun either. And then still this can happen, and now villagers have to be garrisoned again, pulled off of resources, and the light cav can just move right on by. They haven't killed anything, though. They could be trapped. Light cav go back in. Kasva, he's not happy about this again. Dragonstar tries to kill the monks that are actually converting, and back inside the TC we go, but another monk goes down. And now the rams come out. So now you can't stop the ram. That's the issue here. But Kasva's thinking about him. His resources are looking pretty good for it. But I don't know where these vills are going. That is clearly a misclick due to the pressure of the situation, right? Why not put up your own walls? Well, you know, there's always going to be an opening, right? The light calf can always run right by. So I think what he's doing here is fine. He would have never really had the time. I think Dragonstar's just played this really smart. Opportunity for Kasva will be defending from this for a time and getting up to the Imperial Age faster. And oh god, the monks. Oh god, they've been trapped. He has to delete a house. And the light calf get in. And honestly, it could have been so much worse for Kasva. He could have lost more monks there. And still, you know, got 6 monks out there. But are monks the unit you want against this type of push? There's no reason for Dragonstar ever to stop making the light cav. And we have a castle for Kasva. He wants to protect the position. It's an interesting one, isn't it? This is where the game is won or lost right here. If Kasva doesn't get this castle up, his whole game plan probably falls apart. And Dragonstar knows it. Kasva with a gate to block off his monks, which is so sick. Is so sick, but the gate goes down and the monks are going to go down. And now we got the Kusti the Egg coming up as well. Oh, castle's on the way. There's also monks inside of the monastery, which is kind of a thing. I don't know if Kasva even remembers that. Quick walling the one side. The other side's still looking really bad. But I think the castle will actually go up. Monks will go down. You know, relics eject. You then need to deal with the rams. But I think Kasva might actually still have a bit of a chance here. We've seen Portuguese come back from wilder positions. Because now, like, the Portuguese player has lesser eco and holy idle time for Kasva. This is insane. He really is to get villagers back to work right now, and he's struggling. But, you know, if he can click up to Imp in the Imperial Age, he can make Fetorias on the back of this. He can make Trebs from this castle, which means he can Treb down this castle here. I think Kasva can still do this, guys. Wow. Now, it's 3 town centers for Dragonstar. You can see he just seeded a bunch of farms here. I don't know where the farmers are. He really needs to keep an eye on this. This is going to be all-in Castle Age now from Dragonstar. Trying to race to Imp wouldn't really make a lot of sense. You should know, your opponent hasn't been spending food on units. You have been. Love the damage he's been able to find here. And still looking for monks all the time. And bam, more monks killed. I know that gold units are cheap with the Portuguese, but there's been a lot of monks down for Kasva this game. And he's not exactly on gold right now. And speaking of Fetorias, it is 350 stone and 350 gold. Or is it 300? Either way, it's like, you know, 600 to 700 resources to build just one. And then it does take time for there to be payoff. And if you're going to make Trebs too, you do need to protect the Trebs. And I'm not sure what Kasva's going to plan on protecting the Trebs with right now. He could protect it with another castle. Make a castle here. And then have the Trebs behind it, maybe. I don't think organ guns will be awful. Kasva blocking this off. Res collected. It's crazy that Dragonstar doesn't have more collected, but Kasva's had an eco that has been heavily dependent upon gold stone, and he's been mining a lot of it. And that food eco hasn't really been there until recently for Dragonstar. He had more of it, but not insane amounts. Sees another monk, wants to kill the monk, but how many Lycav have to die in order to kill one freaking monk? What is the pathing here, by the way? What is the pathing? The units couldn't even attack there. I'm sure he clicked away expecting that monk would have died already. And there's Victoria number 1. Guys, I really thought Dragonstar was going to 3-1 Kasva today, and that Kasva wouldn't be able to put up much of the fight in the 3 games that he lost. But, you know, then game 2, Kasva just played so freaking good. And here he's hung in it. And he drafted well. Portuguese always have this crazy potential for this fast imp comeback thing. Here we go. Lycav should be able to kill a villager. Good stuff. Another villager exposed. Imp is on the way for Dragonstar now. That's Victoria number 2. Why are we building Victorias on the front, though? Like, someone want to explain that decision-making? This just feels wrong. This just feels so wrong. If you lose the position, you lose your Victorias, but... Anyways, he's going to drop... He's got the second one. He's going to drop the third now. Obviously, Dragonstar is going to see that now. But it shouldn't come as a surprise. And Dragonstar's Lycav didn't seem like they were all that strong. And he now is shifting a lot more on to gold. He's researching Cavalier. I think he's going to try Paladin. And, you know, he killed a lot of monks. So he's probably thinking that Kasva won't be able to have enough monks out there to get conversions. But I actually think Kasva, you've got 4 relics. You don't need to push, honestly. Actually, Kasva needs Stonewall. Stonewall this. The Victoria position's awful, but just wall this. Wall this at all the walls you can, and you just hold. For a bit, anyways, until you have a larger army count. I mean, actually, that's not exactly true. He actually has the better army count, so maybe he actually should be pushing. I'd take that back. But if you see anything that worries you, then at that point, you know, you've got more relics. And you've got Victoria Eco. The longer the game goes, the better it is for you. I said earlier in this game, I think new Organ Guns are really good. They're better in late game than they ever have been. And they're a really tough unit to stop. Look at this from Casbah. Really smart. Using the unit to scout to see what Dragonstar's doing. He would have seen one Cavalier there if he checked. And so after that, he's getting the armor, and I think he's adding the barracks. Yep. Organ Gun Halb. That scouting was crucial there for him. And now this wall was opened up, and he's just going to re-wall it. Yeah, this is, I guess, easier. As long as you outpost, though, right? As long as you don't get surprised over here, because the gray wall still is not yours. Now, there's no Relic Victory. If there was Relic Victory, obviously, that would change things pretty massively in terms of what I think players should do here. Paladin's not in yet. But I think Dragonstar's looked at this army size, and he sees the walls, maybe. And he's concerned that if this isn't open anymore, he might not be able to use his army. And that might be why he's adding the Siege Workshop now. Thinking about maybe ramming down these walls. I think Kasva also learned valuable lesson against Nili. Remember Nili, Kasva? Those that watched group stage? He knows now. Like, I need to use the power of the wall for me. And Nili had 6 relics, and then eventually, you know, Nili's civilization was just much stronger. And he had more gold income. Wow, dude. This would be a crazy story, man. I mean, this would be a ridiculous story if Kasva wins the series. Winning this game would be an amazing start for the guy. Now, there is a hold there. And Dragonstar's going to run through it. But I would not feel very comfortable being in this little spot. It's very, very claustrophobic. That's Organ Guns and that's Halb. And, I mean, I would just be like, I'm out of here right now. They're not elite organs yet. I think elite organ will come eventually. Kasva concerned, though, dropping even another castle. Something tells me Kasva's not going to go for elite organ gun. Because he's adding stables, which indicates to me that this is going to be Cavalier. A couple units get through here. That's not that big a deal, though. Kasva's already walling it. And Kasva's max military count is going to be 45 right now because he doesn't have the pop space to make any more due to having 4 Fatorias. Or is it 3 Fatorias? 3 Fatorias, sorry. And 75 villagers. So Dragonstar's actually making some progress here. And, units have kind of pulled Casbah out of position. The Paladins are going to get in around the organs that are not elite, and that's where I think the big change happens. And Dragonstar is pushing, and Dragonstar could clear this up and then clear up the freaking Fatorias because they're being used as part of the wall. It's part of the wall. I mean, Dragon's pushing the other side, but I just want to be clear that I'm not really a fan of how exposed he has left himself now, because now as a caster, I'm supposed to say if Kasva can hold, his Fatorias will win him the game, but the Fatorias, oh, there is the 4th, actually. The Fatorias are kind of exposed here. Great job from Dragonstar to ram down that wall, to get some real momentum here. And he didn't really give Kasva the time to be able to get going here, right? Because Fatorias still cost so much, and then you're not relying on as good an economy. It's 200 pop for Dragonstar. I think what he's really missing right now is trebuchets. If he had trebuchets taking out the castles, I think this may already be over. And Kasva's, he's trying. He's still massing organs. And he's got the halbs, and he's got the monks. He's doing his best here. But feels like he needs to push this back sooner rather than later. Otherwise, it could be the end for him in this game, and Dragonstar gets a really important response. The Burgundians do not get Siege Ram. And there's a big difference between Capped Ram and Siege Ram, but Capped Ram still seem to be doing an awful lot here. And more Paladins are in queue. More Hand Cannons are in queue for Dragonstar, who's kind of running low on gold. He doesn't have Fatorias, but Organ Gun Mass still not great enough. Monk Mass not even great enough for Casbah now. And these Rams doesn't look like they can really be stopped. If there were Trebs now from Dragonstar, Dragonstar would take these castles out and it's game over. But he's got the Treb coming out of this castle. And he's been able to finish off Casbah here in a really fun game. Strategically, a really nice game. I felt that Casbah's strategy is more along the lines of what we've seen everyone doing. Like in all of Gold, we just had people going for monks, Fast Imp, Dragonstar. He's the first player I've seen play as the Burgundians on this map. And he went for the castle originally, but then he shifted into the light cav and into the economy, and that ended up winning him the game. A great series here, go. That was a good fight from Casbah. I think really, again, the key for low eco Fatoria push to work is proper Fatoria position. And then, it's got to be unit mass originally. And I really think he needs elite organ. I'm not saying he still wins, but with the damage increase from elite organ, it could be tough. But it's also tough to get your halbs out then. You almost have to choose between halberdier and elite organ. It's not like he overmade knights or anything. It's not like he spent food and gold on something else. So I just think he just struggled to get the res because the Fatorias take time to kick in. Dragonstar was almost out of gold in his base, by the way. He just had this. So had this push not worked, then he would have been left on skirmishers, which meant Casva would win pretty easily there. So awesome stuff. This series has been really good. I'm really happy with the level we've seen thus far. Dragonstar collected 12,000 more resources. He collected more wood, more food, more gold. Loved how consistent he was with the light cap production. Loved how active he was. And then obviously that economy was great. And so now Kasva needs to respond. Kasva has a home map. He's got to get a win on, which could take us to a 5th game if he does. But again, the stakes here, winner of this series moves on, and they go into Platinum, top 24 in the world for the next season of Titans League. And the losers just back in gold. All right. So I'm having fun. I'm having a lot of fun, actually, and I hope everyone else is as well. Capture Age doesn't like the flags. I maybe just need to restart it afterwards. Something must be going on. It might just be bugged. But I remembered this time. We're going to add the flags. Keep those flags up there. Looks very nice. It's been a back and forth series thus far. And if it continues to be one of those sets, then Casbah will respond here. And then we'll go to a game 5. I've never seen Koreans picked on Spiral in the Gold League casting. Dragonstar going for something completely off the wall here. Koreans? Huh? What does he know that I don't? I mean, okay, let me back up for a second. If he wants to go Cav Archers, I think it's this next meta play that no one's talking about. Korean Cav Archers are actually cheaper than Hun Cav Archers, if I'm not mistaken, due to the recent change. It's less wood for a lot of their military units now. So that's something to think about, which you don't typically think about. But, you know, the economy really is what the Koreans lack. They have a stone mining bonus, which probably doesn't play a huge role in how a game plays out. They do have good towers, too, so they can be pretty good defensively. Offensive towers, very off-meta. Kasva, he's got the cheaper wood buildings the whole way through the game, which helps so much, especially when you've got some water to utilize as well. But I am noticing, though, that Dragonstar actually found the 2 berry areas on this map. And he went over, broke the fence, stole the cow and sheep, and then he's come over here and done the same. So that's actually a big gain of food for him. And I guess Kasva... Oh, this is unfortunate. He was actually just later to this one. And then he just looped this way and missed this one. So I think he realizes now, like, oh, my opponent stole the food. That's not good. Normally what happens on this map is you see dock from both. That is non-negotiable. You do not tend to see a lot of water aggression on the water because there's only 3 fish for both. It's just enough for where players feel like they have to use it, but not enough where the players really contest. And then you see a lot of stable units. It's been rare to see crossbowmen. So I remember a game where Dragonstar went Cav Archers with the Vietnamese. Is Korean Cav Archer a play here, chat? What do you think? Yeah, I have been waiting for an opportunity to kind of, like, show the world Korean Cav Archers are disgusting. But you gotta remember, they don't get bloodlines. So you do lack HP, and bloodlines always feels like such a big upgrade to have if you're going to go Cav Archers. But here's my counter, right? So you get the armor upgrades for free. So if you could go 3 range and mass it really quickly, you've got the armor, which is enough to hold off for a while, and it's enough to potentially overwhelm. And they do get heavy Cav Archer as well. So, I mean, yeah, Korean Cav Archer is not in the list of best Cav Archer civs in the game. I'm not saying that's the case. But on a mobile map, later in the game, I could see it. So, let's see. Because otherwise, I'm not really sure why Koreans. And I know Dragonstar's the type of guy to go for wacky stuff. But you know what? Dragonstar is not a guy, you know, that does it very frequently. He doesn't make mistakes very frequently. This is weird. Everyone else sends 2 villagers because they don't want to lose their villager on the dock. Or they get loom. That's very weird. And Casbah, you might as well kill the villager at this point. If Dragonstar gets a quick wall off, then the crowd's going to go wild. But, I mean, yeah, villager's dead. Feels very wasteful. You either research loom, which Kasva did, and send 1 vill, or you just send 2 villagers to that dock. Now, Kasva's going to be really happy about that. But he's not going to be so happy about the fact his scout is weak. That is, of course, the downside of trying to kill that villager. Sito Kingston was archers at first? No. No, it was scouts. There were archers involved, though. There were foot archers involved in that series. Now, Kasva's taking the hunt, which Dragonstar's going to see. I was actually expecting Dragonstar to be the type of player that would try and take this stuff and take the risk. And the Kasva would be the one to just wall, because he loves his walls. But the fact that he's out here, it's an interesting spot for a mill as well. I was fully expecting the mill to actually be next to the berries. I feel like that makes way more sense, but I suppose it's a little bit more efficient for the deer, and he's Malian, so his mills are cheap. You could just make a mill later. Yeah, now Dragonstar knows about that. Dragonstar with villagers on wood mainly right now. Could just be a scout opening for him. Bringing the second villager right now, though, makes me think that he wants to do something funky. And I think that's something funky. Look at what he scouted. That's something funky is going to be a fire ship there. And but Dragonstar, he actually spots that Kasva's going to try the same. And so he should deny this dock. And this is all possible because you have a full HP scout. And Kasva's scout's still weak. And this villager should die because this is a really fast uptime from Dragonstar. What? Huh? I'm a little shocked. I feel like that's a free villager kill, but he would instead like to kill this scout, so he's going to bring this scout home. If he kills this scout, I think that he'll end up being pretty happy about things, but it is possible Casbah gets to run around a while, and you don't really want to be chasing the scout forever. That's what Casbah will make you do. So, okay, interesting stuff. And Dragonstar now just making houses along the front, just so he knows. Actually, his other fish is all the way over here as well, so these fishing ships are going to have to venture a long way. That's a little unfortunate, but it's just part of the map. Archers for Dragonstar. It's going to be skirms, actually, and he did kill the scout from Kasva. Now he needs to know what Kasva's doing. He needs to know right away. Typically, the players are going to build their base up here. And Dragonstar's like, please don't be scouts. Please don't be scouts. Please don't be scouts. And it's not scouts. It's archers. And he's now has skirmishers on the way. Like, he just guessed it, right? And you get the armor for free with Koreans. So this is actually really nice for Dragonstar on land. And I'm surprised. I feel like archers is the one thing I never do against the Koreans because I know that their defense is going to be pretty good with their ranged units getting the armor upgrades for free. Dragonstar can close it out here. Dragonstar can head on to Platinum, where he was in the first season, then got relegated. Had a good performance last year, or last season. It was 6 months ago. I forget at this point because there's been so many games, but he had a good performance in gold, just wasn't able to get promoted. He's looked better this season. This has been the Dragonstar that everyone gets hyped about. And thus far, it's actually been pretty solid for Kasva in defense, but Kasva's going to lose the skirm as well. And this scout now just going to attack the fishing ships and be a pain, but the main thing I'll mention is that Dragonstar has towered this, so he can leave himself exposed there. Kasva has not. And Kasva will need another mill here, too, like we said, to be able to protect that. But, like, to me, I don't know what Kasva really does to change the flow of the game right now. Like, he's brought a spear over, and he's going to make a fire galley. Oh, actually, he canceled the fire galley. But, okay, he's going to defend his fish. That's fine. But he's going ranged units. Oh, big moment, though. Dragonstar was microing here. So good defense from Kasva. But he's going ranged units against the Koreans. Well, I feel like the Koreans could be really good. Do you not want to make the mill inside the berries? Some players do. The pathing is not good enough to justify it for many. So, yeah, this is what I was expecting. I was expecting the need for scouts against skirms. And he's going to add the stable now, but... Again, I've used this example before. I made the mill inside there before, and then my opponent made a house or a palisade here, and then all my units were trapped inside berries, and all the villagers died. So it's not like that inefficient to just make the mill on the side for a little bit of extra safety. Right? So you go ahead, do that, but then if your vills get stuck, and like the pathing's bad, and there's lots of bumping, then it could be problematic. So let's actually see, where do the villagers go anyways? Don't some of them just default and walk to the outside? But okay, so she's a little stuck. She's defaulting and walking to the outside anyways. You see what I mean? And that's with just 3 vills. So that's just my feeling on it, but it's not bad to place the mill in the middle. It just could run into some unfortunate circumstances. All right, so I expected Dragonstar to be able to accomplish a little bit more with his position. I think that he didn't see the stable, but clearly senses that something's going to be happening. Players should sense when they're vulnerable against a certain thing, and you just know your opponent's good enough to be able to switch. So he made Spearman before he even saw the stable. He knows there's going to be scouts. Great game sense. At home, he's just walling up. There's actually a gap here that he needs to plug. I think he's okay over here. And Kasva didn't know that Res was being taken over here just yet. Now he sees the tower. Now he sees the mill. Kasva will be much later to Castle Age, and Dragonstar he has an archer range. He's not mining stone heavily to go for a castle or anything in the next age. I think we see freaking cav archers. It's either that or it's just like skirms and pikes and booming. I obviously want to see the cav archers because I want to show you guys how cool it is. But we'll know it's cav archers if he adds a second range. For now, he's not doing that. Second range. Dude, Dragonstar... Oh, Dragonstar is just the man. He is the man. I've been thinking about this for so long, man. I remember a game that Ozone played against Uzi like 2 months ago, and then 3 separate patches came out over a month, and I couldn't upload it to YouTube. And it's kept me up at night. It has made me sad that I can't be like, hey, these Korean cav archers have a place. It can work. Now watch, he's going to lose. Watch him lose, and then it's like, Korean cav archers suck. But I think it's a timing thing. And I think it catches people off guard. Because right now, Kasva's thinking, all right, he doesn't have many archers yet. He's just shown me skirms. I'll just go knights. He's even adding extra scouts to kill those skirms. So, you know, stables behind, that's for husbandry. Doesn't get bloodlines, of course, we know that. But cav archers could potentially work out well here. Kasva's added a lot of scouts, which could be super valuable in the long run. I wonder if he's able to dive. Like, if he clicked one of those things into the back, he would see the ranges and he would know it's cav archers. I love Kasva, and I think he's a good strategist as well, but I don't think he has the... I don't think he's thinking about this. Kasva's goes a bit more off of the meta. Players like Dragonstar, they're always trying to test the limits of the game and branch out, which is why he deserves more fans than he has. Oh, but Kasva will know. This is smart. It's not so wise from... It's not very wise from Dragonstar not to have the walls, but beautiful quick walls. Okay, that range is in the back. You didn't see all of the ranges, though, so you don't know yet. The scouts for Kasva actually... are attacking this dock over here, but with the light cab upgrade coming in, he could go for the skirms. I'm surprised Dragonstar pulled so far away. There's a knight. There's spearmen we're protecting here. TC here for Dragonstar. Of course, guard tower upgrade came in. And Kasva right now is thinking like, okay, he's on skirms. I'm on knights. I've read him perfectly. Yeah, we couldn't see a demo here from Dragonstar because Koreans don't get demos, which is something that's easy to forget about. Second TC from Kasva. He now sees one of the cav archers and is thinking, is that a misclick? Because this civ doesn't get bloodlines. That would be a silly move, wouldn't it? And now he sees the rest of the cav archers and he's like, huh? But the reason I think this is strong is because of the discount. Can someone remind me the discount on Korean wood units right now? This is a relatively recent change. You could easily boom while massing CA with a civ where, you know, before there's no discount, you would never do this in a million years. I think it could work out very nicely here. But he's got to build up that mass. The Kasva's going to shift into skirms. 50%, right? 20 wood per cav archer. 20 wood! It's nuts. Really good against knight civilizations, obviously. I think it's particularly good against civilizations that don't get bracer. So the skirm counter isn't as strong in the long run, aka the Malians. Cav archers moving out. This is where you'd make a demo if you're thinking about it. If you're Casbah, a demo raft would be really nice, but he's got a million other things to look at, and he's trying to pressure. Could actually break through here in a second, and those knights have +2. Dragonstar needs to damage control wall this. He needs a stone wall and a house. He needs it fast, actually. What's happening? Huh? He didn't think about it in time. He drops the gates. How does he do it? I would have needed to place that preemptively. I'm pretty sure there's a gap there still. Yeah, there is a gap there, and this is going to get really messy. Meanwhile, Kasva's losing everything here, which is not so good. And the Cav have to run away. The TC has ballistics now. The Cav archers have ballistics. There's more Cav archers, and Kasva's getting wrecked by Korean Cav archers. 2 TCs for Dragonstar. Just needs a bit more stone to justify the third TC. Third town center coming up for Kasva. This is a desperation TC. He actually does not have the army to protect this right now. But Dragonstar is concerned with this force, so Dragonstar is going to mass this CA and go out to go kill this. I think he's been a little bit fearful of this, honestly. I think, like, this mass couldn't take an engagement against this, but he sees the lead skirm and he's concerned. And it could lead to problems. As much as I am so pro-Korean Cav Archers, it's a timing thing, right? So if Kasbah has more time to mass units, this could lead to some problems for Dragonstar. I'd like to see Dragonstar continue to use some mobility. Yeah, 2 skirms out on their own. Boom. Easy kills. Easy as you like. Still, no third TC for Dragonstar yet. So he's really going aggressive here with the numbers. Good eco upgrades from him. Good eco upgrades from Kasva. Kasva, he's not going to have gold income if he cannot take this gold here. He has no gold income otherwise. Remember, there's limited gold next to your TC. But Kasva's got to pull his skirms home at the moment, giving Dragonstar time. And normally to expand that economy, but still no third town center when he definitely has the res for it. He's focusing heavily on the micro. But it means he's not pulling as far ahead as he possibly could here. Cav Archers on the Knights. Knights are pretty weak. Cav Archers can always just run away. I'm still just waiting for that stone income. There is a market there for Dragonstar, so he could always just buy the stone. I could tell he just put 2 villagers on stone. He's like, I don't want to buy it when I just need 2 more vills to go to that stone for now. Man, lots of bots in chat today. I assume we have some mods around. Thank you, mods. We got French bots in my chat. What is it? Are they Sato fans? I'm curious. You missed the Sato series. He already got first place in his group. So you can come back next season for Platinum, Mr. Bot. And you get to see Sato there now. Ballistics on the way for Casbah. Okay, so this is where it gets a little awkward. Because the counter unit's in. There's TC3. Still feel like these Cav Archers can just run around all the time. More Cav Archers for Dragonstar making his move. But Ballistics from Kasva. Kasva's okay. And guys, this is the moment of the game where, like, you know, some pros would be like, this is why Cav Archers are trash, right? This is why your strat is dumb. I think the ideal is that you have a bigger lead by this stage. And Kasva has not allowed himself to fall off. He's been on 3 TCs faster than Dragonstar was. He's going to the 4th TC. They're in really good positions, too. It's not like these are just desperation town centers. It's to protect stone and gold. I think adding some mangonels could be good for Dragonstar, but suddenly you're not as mobile then, so it's really awkward. Imp, though. Free armor, baby. Free armor, that's the res collected. What a great game from Kasbah. I really thought Kasbah was going to get overrun here. I think maybe a little bit hesitant at times, Dragonstar, to use his mobility. And Kasbah, he's so good at prepping, though. Like, he knows he's vulnerable in this area. He started to place a gate. He does need to bring his army over here to deal with this. And, of course, then Dragonstar says, I haven't seen his army. It was at my base. It's not anymore. So he's probably coming to attack me. Let's just slowly move this way. Another range here for Dragonstar. He's going to mass more Cav Archers. This is his gold income right now. He's scouted this, but he has not town centered it. It'd be too risky to right now. We're going to see Korean Cav Archers win this game. Remember this, okay? Remember this. Remember this. And be joyful, all right? Because while Kasbah has skirms that have full Castle Age upgrades, it's gonna be awkward because in Imperial Age, even if they were in Imp at the same time, which they're not gonna be here, he doesn't get Bracer. Obviously, this Imp timing though is key. Little risky here for Dragonstar to drop this town center. Has a lot of knights and a lot of skirms right now. Obviously, Imp needs to come in quick for Dragonstar so we could actually feel excited about the strategy. Koreans do get heavy CA, yes. This TC is denied. Kasva, don't ruin this for me. Obviously, Kasva, go for the win here, dude. Like, go for the win. Take us to a 5th game. Thumb Ring's on the way now for Dragonstar. Okay, he's going to make some of his own skirms. I actually like that move here. There will be superior skirmishers, and there's not any cav left for Kasva. But guys, if you know Kasva, you could just tell he's kind of in his comfort zone with his map control. Look at this. He's got like TC here, TC here. He's got vision everywhere with outposts. This is really cool. All right, so now you have fully armored cav archers, and then you're going to have bracer. A heavy CA, of course, pretty expensive upgrade. That'll need to come in eventually. Dragonstar will complete this TC. Dragonstar making a move for this gold, and Kasva's already town-centered it. Kasva will click up to the Imperial Age here soon, and Dragonstar has some time to do damage. But he is behind economically. But now I'm just wondering, what army do you go for as the Malians here? Heavy Cav Archer, baby! Heavy CA! So that adds some HP too, so that takes you up to 60 HP. God, I'm not going to lie. Even though I'm pumped about this, it does feel bad to say 60 HP for heavy CA. it doesn't really get me that hot and bothered. More bothered than I am hot, but... Okay, Cav Archer's pulling back. Dragonstar still doesn't have a big ball yet. See, Kasva thinking champion now. High Pierce Armor infantry for the Malians. Would make sense. And Dragonstar expanding, adding a siege workshop, and it has an outpost there, so he knows how important that TC is. Hasn't been able to go to the right side yet. And the castle's going to be denied by skirms. Uh-oh. Also, the heavy CA and the skirms will kill all of Kasva's skirms here, because these are Castle Age upgrades. And this castle will not go up. And the Cav Archer mass is too good. And Kasva is still a minute away from Imp. And he's only got 10 skirms. I think if Dragonstar just sends everything here right now, he's up to platinum for the next season. It's done. That castle, he's no more stone for Kasva. He needs to get this castle up. And with just like the cheap Cav Archers and really nice boom and a really nice Imp time, Dragonstar's been able to control this game in early Imperial Age. Kasva would have never expected this, man. This is probably the only player that would have done it, honestly, in gold. And then what is Dragonstar going to do on the left? Well, he's going to ram down this TC. He's going to castle it as well. Take that golden stone for himself. And Kasva's just looking at his screen right now like crap. Like, it's 20 wood per Cav Archer. And those armor upgrades just have helped so much here at various times. Now, hold on a second. Castle might go up. Kasva's got knights. Dragonstar didn't realize that. So here he goes. Chemistry's on the way for Kasva, so his skirms will be stronger. Stone's coming in now for Dragonstar, which could lead to another castle and towers, of course. The weak point for Dragonstar with his scouting is now the right side. You could argue it's not necessary. It looks like a Vilwol outpost there. But Kasva's trying to get Imp armor now on these Cav. And he's had more on food than Dragonstar this whole game. He can make Cav, but it's just so much army right now for Dragonstar. And I think, you know, fortunately for Kasva, the guy's never going to have access to the middle gold. He's just lost access to Golden Stone because he got castled on the left. There's just way too much army here. And... his golden comes all right behind this, right beyond this big fight here. Dragonstar will build a keep there. He's actually getting guilds right now, Dragonstar, which is pretty wild. We could foresee Dragonstar just tower creeping here with the amazing Korean towers. And he seems pretty comfortable to just chill right now. He's got the lead in the series already, so it's less pressure on him, and he just has to think about, where can this go wrong? This goes wrong if I give him map control here. Towers. And this goes wrong if I ever let him breathe here. And Cav Archers and skirms. Mainly skirmishers here at this point. There's just enough Cav Archers in there, though, where the Cavalier can't take good engagements, right? He's got 7+4 attack. Tower slit. Oh, not tower slits. Arrow slits. Sorry, I got it wrong. Arrow splits. Youpsiong. Let's go. Tower upgrades. Koreans. New meta. 2023, baby. Probably wouldn't have seen this picked if this wasn't a best of 5. I think for Dragonstar's draft, he needed to be a little bit more creative because he picked a lot of civilizations for some of the other maps. But you can't argue this wasn't a solid one. There's Farimba now for Kasva. That will give +7 attack to his Cav. But what Cav? You know? Like, where's the Cav? Where's the gold? Where's he going to end up getting gold? He's going light Cav. So that could maybe do it. But, I mean, even still, light Cav just 80 HP. Still more HP than these Cav archers. But it's the cost of the CA. And yeah, Dragonstar's probably like, oh, he's been on this gold this whole time? Whoops, that was stupid. And he'll start to drop some towers there. He's now doing it. Ram, towers, everything happening. Poor Kasva, man. He's looking at the screen right now like, well, I think I'm dead. And he accepts it and calls the GG. And Dragonstar moves on to Plat. And this series was entertaining, but I did come into it saying that Kasva would put up an amazing fight. But I felt like Dragonstar's strategy would be strong. And I felt like Dragonstar was one of the best strategists in the gold groups. He was in arguably the stronger group as well. And it certainly paid off for him here. Again, I'm not saying Korean Cav Archers are like the best thing ever. But when mobility is an issue and you have a slightly faster castle age, I think you can really surprise people with how much you can mass them. And against civilizations that don't have great skirms in the long run, they don't miss that many upgrades. I think that the Cav Archers could actually have its place. Dragonstar essentially used it to just control the whole map, running all around. Still, this series, though, the best game in it was the game that Kasva won. That Graveyards game was ridiculous. If you guys didn't see that game, you need to go back and watch it. But congratulations to Dragonstar. He's back up in the top 24 of the world. He will be in Platinum again next season. He deserved it. He had 9 wins in his group. Yeah, I think he beat Slam. I forget if he beat Sato. Like, he had really good results in that group. No one was really able to fully best him. And then, he had to prove it here because he didn't get first place in his group. But the second place in the group wins the decider pretty comfortably, I'd say. So I'm happy for the guy. 45k res collected. You could see the food eco was flying for Casbah, but he just couldn't find units to really deal with the army in time. Feels a bit weird to see someone has all this food collected and all this gold collected and then have a later imp. But I think for him, he was spamming a lot more villagers out of a lot more TCs, and he spent food on the knights and the upgrades. He spent food on all those skirms. And Dragonstar just said, I'm not spending food and gold on any of this. I'm barely spending wood on my Cav Archers, so I'll just go Imp. And Imp is when those quick little upgrades came in. Made all the difference there. To be clear, someone said you can tell how happy he is when someone's using his suggestion. I want to be clear. I didn't suggest this to Dragonstar. But it was something I was thinking about because I saw a game like 2 months ago. It was soon after that patch. And I felt like they were good. Guys, you know I'm a big Huns fan. I made a suggestion. I got to be a little tight-lipped on this stuff, but I made a suggestion to, like, in the balance Discord, and I was like, hey, devs, why is there a civ that has cheaper Cav Archers than my Huns? I got a little upset. I was like, come on, now Huns don't even have the best Cav Archers? And then someone was like, meh, no bloodlines on the Cav Archers. Meh, you're stupid, T90. They didn't sound like that at all. They didn't say it was stupid. It was very professional, but it was something I was talking about, all right? So I'm happy we saw it. Great series. A fun way to end it. And we'll have 3 more deciders now in gold to determine who else joins to go up to platinum. We'll have Hart versus Mihai. We will have Nika versus Vinchester. And we will have Slam versus Dark. So for those waiting later on and YouTube, those sets will be coming hot and heavy. Should be great sets. I'm looking forward to it.